Hello everyone, I'm Szu-Yu from Indiana University, and I'm presenting today on behalf of my co-authors Justin Cranshaw and Asta Roseway for a study we conducted at Microsoft Research. The title of our paper is Making Air Quality Data Meaningful, Coupling Objective Measurement with Subjective Experience Through Narration. The World Health Organization estimates that air pollution causes over 4 million premature deaths every year. Over the past decades, the dissemination of low-cost sensors and mobile data networks offer opportunities to check air quality on an increasing fine-grained and high-resolution level. As you can see on the map, the different colors represent different qualities of air, ranging from good to hazardous. This is called Air Quality Index, or AQI, which is a numeric metric calculated by measuring the concentration of 5 major air pollutants. While AQI is a simple way to understand our surrounding air quality, we think that there's still one issue. The issue is that these environmental indices don't really reflect the day-to-day embodied experiences people have with the air, making it difficult to form meaning from data. For example, what does it mean when we say that Seattle air quality was 5 times worse than Beijing's? We believe that if designers were to increase public awareness and promote community well-being, we should try to understand and capture the rich contours of experiences and personal stories people have with the air, instead of representing air quality data as a set of objective environmental realities. With this in mind, we turn to a very fundamental question. We ask, what does air quality mean to everyday citizens? And how do we make air quality data more meaningful through design? To answer these questions, we conducted a two-phase design fieldwork inspired by the tradition of ethnography. In the first phase, we conducted cognitive mapping sections facilitated by semi-structured interviews in order to establish an empirical understanding of people's first-hand perceptions with air. Informed by these sections, we move on to run community co-design workshops to explore design strategies of making air quality data more meaningful. For participant recruitment, we posted flyers on street and through various social media channels and neighborhood group email threads. Interested participants were directed to a screening survey asking about their demographic information and enduring history. The study sparked a lot of interest, and we received almost 170 applications. We focus on 2 neighborhoods in the greater Seattle area because they display different demography, infrastructure, and resident composition. In total, we conducted 12 interviews and 2 co-design workshops involving 19 participants. In the first phase of the study, we try to capture the rich contours of experiences people have with the air. In execution, because the knowledge that people have with the air is not always verbal and sometimes implicit, we developed a cognitive mapping toolkit to help elicit the personal stories and hypotheses our participants have with the air, combined with a semi-structured interview. So let's talk in more detail into how our cognitive mapping toolkit works. In each of the mapping section, we started by asking people to draw a map that showed the boundary of how they perceive their neighborhood to be. Next, we added 1 layer of acetate on top of the base map and asked our participants to indicate their familiarity with the different places on the map using our pre-cut patterns. The patterns come with a wide variety of shapes and sizes and were designed to be stackable, allowing our participants to create heat maps that express the intensity of their perceptions. For example, you can see that the area in the middle of this participant's map is darker than any other areas on the map. This indicates that participant is more familiar with this specific area compared to any other areas on the map. Moving on, we asked the participant to map their perceived air quality on the map, with blue patterns representing good air and purple patterns representing bad air. We also asked the participant to identify 3 to 5 places where they wish to place air quality sensors to keep track of their neighborhood air quality. Finally, we removed the air quality layer and asked the participant to identify where nature is on their base map. So all these previous layers were designed to help us identify if our participant conceive any correlation between air quality and other factors that come into play, such as their familiarity of the space and the presence of nature. To wrap up with this study, we asked each participant to map their perceived air quality on the greater Seattle area map. Through this mapping activity, we were able to bring to the surface any relationships our participants have with the air and the environment that may have been latent. So from the first phase of our study, we soon noticed that individuals have different sensory preferences and that some of them even draw on multiple modes of perception simultaneously to perceive air quality, such as drawing from the feel, the smell, the color, and density of air to perceive its quality. It had become clear to us that if we were to support meaning-making from data, we need to couple objective environmental measurements with the subjective experiences people have with the air to inform users with its meaning. As a result, we move on to our second phase of the research to try to identify strategies of making air quality data more meaningful. In this phase, we ran 2 community co-design workshops, which combines crafting, brainstorming, and group discussions to facilitate conversations among community members. For the interest of time, I will not go into detail about our research findings. But just very briefly, one of the findings we outline in this paper is that air quality is a relative concept with respect to space and time. For example, we had 2 participants who did not map any bad air on their greater Seattle area map, simply because they perceive Seattle air to have the best quality compared to any other places where they have visited or lived. To learn more about the findings and details of our study, please take a look at our paper. To wrap up with this presentation, I wish to offer a few design considerations that we have identified in making air quality data more meaningful to everyday citizens. First, during the study, we asked the participant a lot of hypothetical questions, such as, what if the sensors are telling you that rich people have better quality of air? How does that make you feel? Or what if we give you 3 to 5 sensors? Where would you place them and why? So we noticed that these questions often make our participants pause. In fact, many of them have come to an aha moment and realized the hypotheses and biases they have about air quality. For example, during an interview, one participant told us that, come to think about it, I think just the noise quality makes me perceive that air quality is worse. Building on how this participant draws correlation between noise quality and air quality, we can create designs that communicate air quality through acoustic representations, such as creating an air quality wind chime that plays major tones when the air is good and changes to minor tones when the air goes bad. From this observation, we suggest that instead of representing air quality data as a set of realities or numbers, we can design for open interpretation to encourage reflection and speculation from data. We also learned that air quality is a wicked problem that science does not always have an answer for. For example, one participant told us that he knows a lot of people who are homeless, and they're not going to think about air quality because they have other issues going on. Overall, we see that science is only the bottom line, and that we need to attend to the broader social context in thinking about ways of improving public health from environmental sensing. And finally, we see that many discussions focus on how air quality might affect individuals whose voices are not being heard. For example, one participant said in a group discussion that beaten birds do not pollinate bananas, bats do. So you can't destroy their habitat or what they're eating, because then you're not going to have bananas. This story shows us that the action of one life form often have big impacts to other species. One way of incorporating other species in design is to build cross-species environmental sensing platforms to check and understand how air quality affects animals and plants who reside with us. Overall, instead of simply representing air quality data using objective indices or over-relying on the personal subjective experiences, we suggest coupling both ends of the spectrum to help individuals form meaning from data. Thank you for watching this presentation, and please do not hesitate to reach out to me or my co-authors.